I think we failed on a couple of fronts. One is, of course, our PR. We could not convince people. KCR has shown in the last 24 years that he has the ability to rise like a phoenix. 4th of June, I have a feeling that he's going to throw in another surprise at our opponents in Parliament election. The BJP might consider making Hyderabad a union territory after the 2nd of June.
So thank you very much for sparing the time, and again a hectic moment in your life.
Thank you, Dr. Roy. Always a pleasure seeing you.
It's great to see you, and just what we have said this on air, so I'm not saying anything new, that your party has done so much for each individual. You've been a model for many other parties of what you've done for people who look after goats, to barbers, to fishermen, to every sector. You created jobs, but nobody knew about it. You really shocked everybody by losing the last election. Why did that happen?
I think we failed on a couple of fronts. One is, of course, our PR, which was not what it was supposed to be, because I think, like you said, even though we have delivered on the maximum number of public sector employment in the last term, about 2 lakh kids were given jobs in government sector. Unfortunately, we did not shout from the rooftops. We did not make a huge hangama around it, which I think we should have, in hindsight.
Are you in politics or are you in?
Well, thank you for reminding me. Yes, but yeah, we did fail on that front, and then also I think we underestimated rather the power of social media and what kind of an influence it can play, because there is perception and then there is reality. Unfortunately, while the reality was we did a lot better than any other state in India in terms of per capita growth, in terms of every other index there is, we could not convince people that we are faring better than any other state in India. And also there were other propagandas that were kind of unveiled, launched by our opponents, which I think we did not counter them in time, at an appropriate juncture, which we should have. So, hindsight 2020, but we lost by a whisker. 1.8% was the difference between us and Congress, which literally translates to about 4 lakh odd votes out of the total polled votes, which is not much. But again, in democracy, even one vote, a difference of 1 vote matters. So, end of the day, we are now the principal opposition. We have 39 seats out of 119. So we've been given 2 terms of opportunity to run the state, and now we are here to voice the people's concerns and challenge the government on numerous things.
In losing, was it because the party or the workers or the MLAs or whatever just moved away from the people? You were no longer connected to them as much?
That is also one of the reasons, I would say, because I think 10 years of 9.5 years, to be precise, of being in government sometimes sort of brings about a disconnect, which should not have happened in retrospect. So, yeah, you're also right, sir, that there was a disconnect, which again, the primary cause would be us not taking care of the party workers, us not educating our party workers as much as we should have, because they are primarily the bridge between the party and the people, the party cadre. Unfortunately, that focus was also missing, I would say.
So you've done quite a lot of introspection.
Oh yeah, I think last 4 months it's all been introspection.
Now you just mentioned, and we know the fact that you lost by 1.8%, which is a narrow, but in the first past the post British system which we inherited, small change in votes gives you a huge bump in seats. Mm-hmm. So everybody sees Congress got so many seats, you only got 39, you're finished. And you haven't been able to again get the point across that you're 1.8% of the vote behind. Again, that perception, which is what politics is a lot to do with.
Sure. So I'll tell you what, there's a popular boxing saying. They say that it doesn't matter how hard a punch you can throw. What matters is how hard a punch you can take and then come back up. I think the resilience part of what KCR is known for is what Congress is thoroughly underestimating, because KCR has shown in the last 24 years that he has the ability to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. So he's reinvented himself. He's, literally in the last 2 decades, every single time he was written off by our opponents, he's surprised them. And I have a feeling, that we can have a chat about this post 4th of June. I have a feeling that he's going to throw in another surprise at our opponents in parliament elections.
So always remember, it's not who you are, it's whose you are.
That's also true. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, so what are you doing differently in this campaign? How are you going to go back and get that 10% or 12% of the voters that you lost? What is it that you're going to tell them, given that this is a national election and not a state election? So people think of national parties, not local.
You're absolutely right, sir. But the thing is, last 2 elections in a row in Telangana, our party has been given 11 MPs in 2014 and 9 in 2018. Now, this time around, we are hopeful that we'll be somewhere between 8 to 12 out of the 17 parliament seats here. And the theme that we've been focusing on is, of course, the failures of Congress government in the state here, and simultaneously the fact that in 10 years, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the NDA government did not deliver a single promise from the AP Reorganization Act. Of course, the lapses in government, both from the union government and also the state government, that is one theme. And secondly, I think one thing that we keep underestimating when it comes to regional forces and regional players is how strongly they have withstood BJP and how strongly they have withstood national parties. If you look at India as a whole, you'll see strong regional players like Mamata Banerjee, strong regional players like Stalin, Arvind Kejriwal, KCRG, Hemant Soren, and all these guys who were actually able to thwart BJP's advances in their state. Because you see, Congress has been broken so many times in the last 10 years by BJP. In Karnataka, in Madhya Pradesh, in Goa, the list goes on, it's endless. Congress has been, if you ask me, it's a sitting duck. But in case of regional forces and regional players, strong regional players, because we are more aware, even in Telangana, they tried to dislodge our government. They wanted to poach on our MLAs. They were caught red-handed. We filed cases on them. So what happens as a result is, when it becomes a contest between, 2 national parties and our party here, I think people do know that we represent their interests stronger and in a better fashion. We understand them better. So I think that helps.
In fact, that's one thing which I'm amazed at, that regional parties are doing better and better around the country, because India is a heterogeneous society where federalism is in our constitution and in our DNA. We want a party that looks after us rather than somebody of Delhi, whatever he is, whichever party, looking down at the state of Bengal or state of... You created Telangana. You are a regional force. Yet you haven't had the same momentum as a federal force as all these others. Now even in Maharashtra, it's now Maharashtra versus Gujarat. It's a Maharashtra force. Maharashtra for Maharashtrians, not really in a very negative sense, but anti-center. Our state comes first.
So I think every single party, every single political party in India, tries to find its own portion of what it makes.
But you have it on a platter for you, because you created this state.
We had it, rather. Yes. But at this point in time, I think to counter this deadly cocktail that Modi ji has been able to come out with, the cocktail of communalism and nationalism, I think every single party across the political landscape in India has been trying to reinvent, has been trying to go to strategists, understand. And one of the things I think people have latched on to, like you said, is the sub-nationalism, the regionalism aspect. Us versus them, Bengal ki beti, Mahavikas Agadi, etc., which I think has worked. So possibly even in the context of Telangana, that's exactly what I was alluding to when I said regional parties are more rooted and more closer to the aspirations, to the desires, to what people really think. And therefore, I believe that we can offer a better alternative to both Congress and BJP. More importantly, I'll just give you one example. Now, Modi ji talks about interlinking of rivers, because he wants votes in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So he starts talking about how he's going to link River Godavari all the way to Kaveri and make sure that Tamil Nadu and Karnataka get enough water. The fact is, on paper it might sound like a good idea. The fact is, without satisfying and without satiating the needs of the basin here, you cannot be talking about it. And no BJP leader or no Congress leader will broach this subject without the approval of the powers to be in Delhi, because they have stakes in Karnataka, they have stakes in Tamil Nadu, so they'll not be able to do the same kind of eloquent argument that we can. So that's what sets us apart from the two so-called large national parties, which is BJP and Congress. In that context, like you said, sir, subnationalism, regionalism coming to the fore and fighting for issues. For example, we also are, hearing rumors that the BJP might consider making Hyderabad a union territory after the 2nd of June. They've done that in the past. They've converted a state like Jammu and Kashmir into a UT, and they still play havoc with the Delhi government through the LG there, the Lieutenant Governor there. So we have seen numerous instances of BJP trying to misuse and abuse institutions such as governors and lieutenant governors to their advantage. So there is a strong rumor doing the rounds that the BJP might look at, because now Hyderabad is a joint capital between Andhra and Telangana till the June 2nd, which is when the 10 years would be completed. After that, we hear that they would want to convert this into a UT. So it's only possibly a party like BRS, which can be vociferous, which can fight, which is going to go to any extent to thwart that kind of a design. So these are the things that set us apart from Congress and BJP, because both national parties again will basically yield to their supremos in Delhi, and basically they'll play along.
But how would you stop them from doing this?
Well, remember, sir, that we just had 5 MPs when we went to Delhi in 2004, and we were able to convince 32 political parties, and we were able to bring about a consensus, and eventually Telangana did become a reality. Even though people scoffed and said, with 17 MPs in Telangana, how is KCR going to achieve a simple majority in parliament, which is 272? So, according to me, if you ask me or any of our party leaders, it is what matters really is your ability to articulate, your ability to rally other parties, like-minded parties. There are 13 parties today which are neither aligned with NDA nor aligned with India. So there is about 13, including Jagan, including Naveen Patnaik, etc., etc. So if you're able to convince them that this is a cause that we all ought to fight for, and if you're able to make a cogent argument, I think you'll be able to win a few of them to your side.
One of the issues that surprised many analysts was, yes, you have everything going for you as a federal party, as a party of Telangana, for the people of Telangana, not a Delhi party that Telangana is second best.
Yes.
But then you started trying to be a national party. You started going
Growing
to
in
other
ambition.
states, BRS, and people said, well, they're not really a national, regional party, not a Telangana party anymore. Was that a mistake? When you have strength here to go into states where you really don't have... Why did you try to go national and lose your regional identity?
No, we did not want... See, sir...
Was it a mistake?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, because there was a movie I watched long time back when I was in college called Khamoshi, a brilliant movie. Nana Patekar and Manisha Koirala, if I remember correctly. So the tagline of that movie was, "What's life without an impossible dream?" There's nothing wrong in dreaming. There's nothing wrong in being audacious in terms of your vision and hope. There's nothing wrong in wanting to emerge and, start doing what you've done in Telangana across the nation and grow in size and stature. For example, who was Modi prior to 2014? He was the chief minister of a state, supposedly a successful one at that, for 3 terms. So when KCR won his second term, and when there was a third time that he was almost set to win, although it almost looked like a certainty, we decided that we'll probably also start considering and exercising options to possibly look at our bordering states, our adjoining states. Maharashtra was one such state we looked at very closely, because Maharashtra has 48 Lok Sabha seats, and it has a 900-kilometer border with us. There was a lot of people-to-people interaction between the two states.
There's nothing wrong being ambitious and trying the impossible dream.
We had to save
but
our
if
home
that
base.
Undercuts, yes, your
Right.
home base.
Our home base is what we lost, and that's in hindsight, like you said. When it works, and sometimes when the ploy works, you look like a brilliant strategist. When it doesn't, you end up looking a bit silly. But the fact, sir, is we have to take these kind of challenges head on. We have to exercise our sometimes, even if it's called wishful thinking, we have to indulge in that. We have to dream big. That's what our leader has taught us, and we'll continue to
Are you going to find your roots again, or are you going to carry on?
We'll do both. I think we'll be able to do both. It's a fine, I think, balancing act that we have to do. I think we'll be able to do both. Both find our feet again in our home base, which is Telangana, and also likely, start building a few more, leadership and a few more pockets across, our adjoining states, hopefully.
You won most of your seats in Hyderabad and around this in the assembly election. Was that because Hyderabad has seen such great growth, or was it also because you got the minority support here, and in rural areas the growth doesn't show and the minorities are less?
So when the state was formed, the state of Telangana was formed in 2014, we had 9 states which were ranked as backward region states by Government of India. We used to receive, there were 10 districts in Telangana. Out of 10, barring Hyderabad, the remaining 9 were all classified as backward districts. But if you look at the same districts 10 years later, out of the 33 districts in Telangana now, not a single state can be called backward. So the development was all round. It wasn't in Hyderabad alone. But I think what made the difference was the Hyderabad vis-a-vis the hinterland of Telangana. I think social media and its impact in the rural hinterland, the whole anti-BRS campaign, anti-KCR campaign that was unleashed was far more, impactful in the rural area than in urban areas. One of the things I can think of. The second thing I can think of is, of course, I think the rural voters also, I think, trusted the Congress a bit more than the urban voters who possibly could see through the designs of Congress and, possibly said they're not going to do what they promise. So I think a combination of that and also possibly some lapses from our side.
Isn't it also saying that development on its own doesn't pay?
No, it doesn't. Development has to be, like Dr. Roy said, has to be well campaigned, well publicized, and has to be talked about. You cannot give 2 lakh jobs and not talk about it. I think you also have to be in your face every single day. The people connect, and you have to be seen to be doing. It's like they say, to be fair is one thing, to also appear to be fair is another thing. So to be doing something, delivering something is important, but also to be seen to be delivering is equally important. I think that is something that we have to learn from all the campaign strategists and, the Prashant Kishores of the world, which unfortunately we didn't.
So did you become too arrogant?
Possibly. I mean, in terms of perception, possibly yes. In terms of reality, no. But in terms of perception and how people perceived you after 10 years in government, maybe yes, because that's the campaign that our opponents have built, that this party has become arrogant, leaders have become arrogant, they've become inaccessible. And that campaign worked for them.
That was a charge against you.
But the funny part is this. Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
Funny part is, we would like to believe, since the opposition could not actually level a charge that we could not develop something or could not deliver something, in terms of real metrics, they could not accuse us of money things. See, I'll just give you one example. There were 5 medical colleges in Telangana prior to 2014. Now we have 33. I can go on. I mean, you give me any sector. There were 200 residential colleges and schools in Telangana prior to 2014. Now there are 1,022. So you look at education, you look at health, you look at any index. You look at IT exports, you look at IT exports again, just to give you a number. The IT exports were 57,000 crores in 2014. Now it's 2,41,000 crores. So the growth has been stupendous. Per capita was 124,000 in 2014. Now it's 3,07,000. So the growth has been stupendous across different sectors. It's just that, like you said, since our opponents could not challenge us on growth or development, what did they do? They started leveling charges that you're arrogant, you're inaccessible, you're corrupt, etc., which unfortunately in some cases has stuck and has, I think, caused a lot of damage.
Taking on from what Baj just said about arrogance and distance from the people, the whole I've watched your campaigns for more than 15 years actually.
Sure.
And what everybody said last time was, you've lost the fire in your belly. You were not campaigning. Look at the way Mr. Modi campaigns. And you used to do that, and your father is a great orator.
Yes.
But last time, was it overconfidence? Have you lost the fire in your belly, and has it come back? Because your father really likes a fight. Now he has to fight. So will that bring the fire back in his belly, or just sit back and...
KCR is a fighter. He's a tenacious fighter. I've seen him all my life. In fact, if I were to document his life as a biography, I would call it Against All Odds. He's one of those guys who's fought when odds were stacked up against him, and he's done a brilliant job of fighting against several strong incumbent governments, strong leaders.
But
both
does
in
that
Delhi.
give him fire when he's got an impossible task?
The man needs a challenge. The man needs a goalpost, and that's always something
So
that
is
he...
the fire in the belly back? And your belly?
Absolutely, I suppose so. Because now what we're fighting for is not just to bring back our government, but also for pride. Because after having done so well for 10 years, losing is something that kind of hits you in the gut. So yes, to be blunt and to be very, very candid, what was dented was not just the fact that we lost to Congress, but what was dented was a self-pride. What we were priding on in terms of achievements, in terms of what we've been able to accomplish, and to not be acknowledged by vote, that really did kind of hurt. And now what we're fighting for is pride. Case against Kavita in the excise policy of Government of Delhi is nothing but hogwash. It's absolute travesty that an arrest had to happen, because I've been speaking to some of the most prominent lawyers of this country. All they say is, this is a frivolous case. Unfortunately, the kind of draconian powers that Enforcement Directorate has been conferred upon by by statute are truly tragedy in today's India. So we will fight. We will fight. We're not going to give up a good fight. We are a party that always indulged in a good fight, and we will fight Mr. Modi and his team of agencies that have aligned with him. EDs, the ITs, the CBIs. No problem. We'll take them head on.
So how are you taking on the politics of dividing India, dividing hatred, this Muslim-Hindu divide? How are you fighting that? Because hatred works in politics.
Sir, I'm 48. I'm a middle-aged Indian now. What bothers me, honestly, is, leaving politics and all other things aside, I have 2 children. My son who's 18, my daughter who's 15. My honest concern is to see them grow up in an India where there's not as much hate, there's not as much toxicity all around. And it really pains me to see them go through the kind of nonsense that's happening in India right now. Because look around yourself, you see each of us as human beings looking at each other with suspicious eyes, with through the lens of religion, through the lens of politics, everything that you do, everything that you say, even films for that matter, or anything that you talk about, eventually ends up being looked at through some really hateful agendas. So what I really worry about is, politics aside, I think ups and downs in life aside, I'm really worried for the future generations of this country, and I'm saying this with utmost humility. It's not like I do not like BJP, so I say this. It's just that what they're doing to this country is going to impact generations and generations of India, in future, and it's not at all going to bode well for us. That's primarily my concern. Elections will come and go. Somebody win, somebody lose. That doesn't matter. I think end of the day, I think India is here, and we cannot let this beautiful country of ours, dither away all the good work that has happened over centuries and thousands of years. That's the biggest concern, honestly.
Coming back to this election, how do you see yourselves faring? And is this a two-way fight with the Congress or a three-way fight with the BJP?
No, I think honestly it's a three-way fight, sir. I think it's a three-way fight, and Congress, in fact, in the state is not going to fare very well, according to me, because what happens is the alignment of expectations versus delivery. That really hurts people, because people had voted for Congress with a lot of optimism. Congress promised that they'll deliver on the 6 guarantees in 100 days. Now it's been 150 days, they were not able to deliver, barring one promise, which is a free bus. Out of the 13 promises they've made as part of the 6 guarantees, and the 407 other promises they've made, they've delivered on one, which is a free bus service, even which, in terms of implementation, has been a disaster. So people, according to me, of course, I'd like to look at elections through my own lens. So I believe that the Congress is not going to fare well. and the fight is going to be between BRS and BJP. And no matter what anybody would like to believe, Congress campaigned very vigorously in assembly elections that we are in cahoots with BJP. They called us BJP's B team, etc., which stuck to an extent in the assembly. But now I think people are able to see through that as well, because now after Kavita's arrest, I think people have realized that it was Congress's ploy to basically, dent the minority vote in Telangana. Now people are able to see through that design as well. So there are a lot of things that are different from 4.5 months ago. So I hope that we'll perform better than the other two parties and probably come out as the single largest party in Telangana.
What about the role of Mr. Owaisi in this election?
Mr. Owaisi is...
And historically, has it changed from earlier? What is it this time, sir?
Well, he's basically, the lone MP of his party from Telangana. He was supportive of us in the past. Now we do not know, what he's been telling his cadre. But I do know one thing for sure, that, Mr. Owaisi or anybody for that matter, ultimately they will not be able to influence any voter beyond a point. Because what matters is eventually each individual's perception, each individual's understanding of how well the government or how well, both governments in Delhi and also Hyderabad have done over the last several months and several years. And I think that's what will matter at the end of the day, not one individual's opinion or endorsement.
But has he stopped supporting you?
Well, like I
This
said,
time.
I'm a bit uncertain on that because we haven't spoken in a while, and I'm not sure what he's been telling his cadre at this point in time.
In other words, the message is clear.
Let me not say anything.
Yeah,
more
that's
because
up to him.
he's been
We'll
a good
ask him.
friend. He's been
Yes.
a good friend. He's been a good friend.
So where are you seeing a repeat of 2019 in terms of seats that you're going to get? Or are you looking at
I'm
5 or 6?
hopeful that we'll get more, sir. We had 9 seats back then, but I'm hopeful that we'll get more. But I think in the given circumstances, where we are neither in the hot seat in Hyderabad nor have any role in Delhi at this point, I think it would be great if we are able to, come back with the same number, repeat the same number, which I hope we will, and look forward to seeing what will ensue after. Because the way I see things, the way we see things, neither NDA nor India will be able to get to the magic mark on their own. And I think there are strong regional players who are going to do rather well. I can see that Jagan is going to do well. I can see BJD is going to do well. And these are all parties which are neither aligned with NDA nor with India. So therefore, I would not be surprised that if some of these regional parties are able to dictate terms post June 4th.
But if you had to make the choice, then on June 4th,
No, I don't think we
who
should
would
be-
you go with?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a bipolar country. I don't think it's a country where only two of the blocs will... Who knows if NDA will remain NDA after the election? Or who knows if India will remain as is post-poll? Because there are a lot of things, that change after an election. And we've seen some very funny things happen in this country in the past. So I would not rule out a lot of different things happening post-poll.
Thanks very much for your time. One last thing.
So,
One message you'd like to give to the people, which will be a headline in their minds for this election.
well, all I would say is honestly, and again, I'm saying this as an ordinary citizen like any of us, like any other Indian, I'd say let's absolutely say no to hate politics. Let's absolutely refrain from indulging in any kind of spreading of hatred, any kind of divisive politics. I think this country needs decisive policies. This country needs decisive leaders who can put us on the right track. This country needs leaders who can guide us through the vagaries of, growing economy, growing jobs, and making sure that we actually compete with the Chinas and the United States of the world. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we don't seem to have many statesmen in the country. So please do vote for strong leaders who can, voice your aspirations. Vote for people who can, stand by you even in the direst of circumstances. And let's say no to hate politics.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank
Seals seem to have fire in your belly.
Oh, there is.
There is.